Again, good to see you all. Great, fantastic day. Happy Father's Day again to all of our fathers here and who are online with us. Our theme this year is the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Proverbs 16:9, we've been talking about how we have to have a plan. There has to be some kind of a plan in life, for our life, for rearing our children, as we talk about Father's Day and think about that, and for the growth and the health of the church, to help grow the kingdom of Christ. We have to have a plan. Those plans change, but that's okay because the Lord is the one who establishes our steps. We can't just wing life and expect it to go well. We've been talking about this process of loving our neighbors, getting into the lives, into the homes of our neighbors. We were talking on Wednesday, and Jacob was talking about how we kind of miss that component of just going to our neighbors and knowing who they are and actually walking over and having face-to-face interactions with them. And we've got to do it. Even though we live in the age of technology, we still need that face-to-face with our neighbors. We need to know who our neighbors are and to talk to them and share our lives with them. And then getting them here, getting them to worship and to fall in love with God. It's a vital step, and we're really losing that as a whole in this country. That ability to move friendship to worship. A lot of people are not taking that step, and we keep friendships on a shallow level, and we don't really move people to fall in love with God anymore. But we've got to. And then we've got to move them, once they fall in love with God, we've got to move them to serve others. There's a great big world out there full of very, very big needs, and we're losing ground really quickly. If there's one theme I think that's really been resonating with me lately, and I don't know why, there's nothing really in particular I think that's led to this, but there's one theme that keeps recurring through my mind over and over and over and over and over again, and I'll share that with you right now, and it can be summed up this way. We get one chance. We get one chance in this life. We get one chance to get it right. All of us, and I mean all of us, everybody, will exit this earth. And we'll slip into eternity, forever. We can't even comprehend what forever is. We get one chance. There's an article that just came out last month. You can see the date stamp here, or maybe it's pretty small, but May 25th. So this is a very recent article by Elizabeth Chuck on NBC News, and this is the title of it. Amid growing crisis, federal officials call on states to prioritize youth mental health. We talked about this again on Wednesday. I think those of you who are in some form of child care, Natalie, Leah and Sandy, I think you guys particularly in the past probably 5 years have noticed a dramatic shift in behavioral issues with children, mental health issues, depression, anxiety, those sorts of things. That is not imagined. This is a real thing going on. I'm going to read from this article just a little bit here. She says in a joint letter first shared with NBC News, leaders from the federal agencies called the issue a national youth mental health crisis. It encouraged states to carefully plan how they use block grants, Medicaid state plans, waivers, and other resources that come from multiple federal agencies so they are being executed without duplication. Skipping down another paragraph or so, she says, anxiety and depression in children were already increasing before the pandemic, and they were aggravated by lockdowns, school closures, and social isolation, among other factors, experts say. Data shows that from 2016 to 2020, that's just a 4-year span, the number of children ages 3 to 17 diagnosed with anxiety grew by, listen to this, 29%. 4 years. while those diagnosed with depression grew by 27%. From 2019 to 2020, that's just in 1 year, the number of children diagnosed with behavioral or conduct problems went up by 21%, a 21% increase in 1 year. We've got a crisis. This article said that the problem is here to stay. Can't really find the paragraph where it says this, but there was a line that really jumped off the page at me, and she said, this crisis is here to stay. Everybody agrees this is not a temporary bump in the issues that we're facing with children, severe issues. These are generational issues. When children suffer with mental health issues, behavioral issues, depression, anxiety, suicide, this will affect generations to come. There's not a question about it. This is not a temporary bump. This is here to stay. And so the question is, what do we do as Christians? We get one chance. We get one chance. We get one shot. Our verse today, set of verses, our passage is Ephesians chapter 6, verses 1 through 4. Children and parents. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. By the way, this is not a passage to be used to say that no matter what, you respect your elders and you sit there and you be quiet. Clearly, there's room in here for children to escape abuse and violence. This is not saying that no matter what, you obey your parents. This is assuming they're godly parents. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with the promise, that it may go well with you, and that you may live long in the land. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. This word for provoke, to provoke your child, it's a combination of two words. It means to be close to, or in close proximity to, and to anger, to push buttons, to find something that angers somebody, and to be up close and personal doing it. To get up into somebody's personal space, to get close to them, and to anger them, and to provoke them, and to taunt them. This is intentional, and it says, fathers, don't do it. Don't provoke your children. Don't come up close to them when you're supposed to be a protector, and don't provoke them. But bring them up in the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. Two different words used here. One is discipline. It means exactly what it means. To be disciplined, to be practiced, to rehearse, to do things over and over and over again habitually. Bring them up in the discipline and the instruction or admonition, or this means something like teaching through warnings. Warning your children verbally about the things that are out there in life and that you need to stay on the straight path. This is a discipline. This is not a once-a-month Bible study. This is not a one-time conversation that you have with your kids. This is teaching your kids to be practiced in godliness. And I've got to tell you, when I look at the numbers, at what's happening in the church, with people leaving in mass droves, when I look at the issues that are happening with the depression, the suicide, when I have been immersed in instruction about abuse for the past 10 years, for the past decade, I see a trend and it troubles me. And the trend is that many fathers are not being fathers to their kids. There was an article that came out yesterday. It was an opinion piece. I didn't have time to read it. Yesterday was pretty hectic. But the title of the article is that all of these mental health crises that we're experiencing are because we have a fatherless society. Fathers are not being fathers. Guys, we get one chance at life. One chance. And many people are blowing it. Many people are not teaching their kids. They're not instructing their kids. They're not teaching their children to be disciplined in the Lord. They're not teaching them and instructing them. They're not admonishing their kids. They're not warning them about life and about what they're going to face. It's not happening. Many homes are broken. Many homes are completely shattered. Abuse is rampant. The statistics on abuse since COVID hit is absolutely staggering. It is mind-blowing what has happened. Sandy, I know that you know for sure. You've seen it with the kids. Same with Natalie and Leah. I know you guys have seen horrific cases of abuse. The number of reports have gone up. That mandated reporters are reporting more because you're seeing more and you're hearing more. There's a lot of trauma out there. And so the question is, how do we as Christians respond? What do we do? Is it a lost cause? Should we give up? Should we cash it in and just say, you know what, there's nothing we can do? I've never liked that approach because I think it's cowardice. I think that's a cheap way out. I think, first and foremost, the thing that we need to do, us fathers especially, is we need to parent our children. We need to model Christian behavior. We need to be consistent. We need to be in love with God. We need to talk about God. We need to show our kids that God is king in our life, that God is important, that God, in fact, is the most important thing. We need to show up to worship. A lot of fathers put worship on the to-do list. We'll worship when we can. We'll worship when the mood is right. We'll worship when we feel like it. We'll worship when. And they always put it off, put it off, put it off. Fathers, we can't do it. We've got to be consistent in bringing our children up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. I don't think it's a lost cause personally. I think clearly the trend is going in a really bad direction. I think at this point it's kind of unstoppable for a while. I do think it's reversible. I think this is completely reversible, but I think that people need to step up to the plate. I think that we Christians need to, especially now more than ever, realize that we get one chance. That we need to live that, we need to model that, we need to show people from our children to our friends, to our family, to our fellow Christians, we need to show people that God is the most important in our life. With that said, I think that we can do a lot with a little. Eden got me and her brothers kind of fascinated with a cool thing on YouTube, Ryan Trahan. So Ryan Trahan is a social influencer, I guess you could say. He started a project to his goal was to feed 1 million hungry people, to provide 1 million meals. He did it in a pretty creative way, or is doing it in a creative way. So he is going across the country. He began with a penny. And so, Eden, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because my brain doesn't work well. You know that. But he began with a penny, and he has some rules. He started in California. His goal is to get to North Carolina. He began with a penny, and what he has to do is he has to use that penny and to produce more money from that penny. So he buys something for a penny, kind of barters, and then he can resell something. And so he started with, I think the first thing was water. What was the first thing? A pen. So he bought a pen, and then he sold it to somebody for $1. And then he took that $1, then he bought a bottle of water, and then he sold the bottle of water for $2. And then he took that, and he just kept buying things. But the cool thing is, and it's really creative, and it's pretty cool, anything that he purchases and physically has, he's able to keep. But cash that he has on hand, he can lose that in what's called a reset. So if somebody donates $50,000, that's a reset. He goes back down to a penny, and he starts all over again. And so his goal is to not get reset so many times that he doesn't make it to North Carolina. At this point, obviously, day 19, this is just as of this morning, he certainly surpassed 1 million meals. He's up to 8,310,040 meals. He's been reset how many times? 6 or 7 now. He had 2 over $100,000 donations. He's had multiple $50,000 donations, and I think the total is up to dollar amount. Do you remember, like roughly?
Well, it's $8,510,000. It's $1.10.
Okay, so yeah, he's almost at $1 million, which is incredible. And he's in Texas right now, and he's kind of stuck in Austin because he keeps getting reset. So he'll make it like 2 or 3 days, and he has almost enough to buy a plane ticket, and then he gets reset. So somebody will donate $50,000, and then he starts back to a penny. So it's pretty cool, but I thought this was kind of a fun thing because it's inspiring, and it shows us that we limit ourselves. That we say, well, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources. Churches do this all the time. We don't have enough time, we don't have enough volunteers, we don't have enough resources. And we tell ourselves that we're going to fail. I mean, essentially, that's what we're saying. We're saying, we can't do this. And Ryan Trahan takes an approach that says, I'm going to start with a penny, and I may or may not finish cross the finish line, but we're going to try to meet our goal. We're going to see what happens through the generosity of other people. And every single day he keeps saying, my mind is absolutely blown away at the generosity of people. And it's a humbling experience. And it's a really cool experience. And so I think we can apply these things to our lives, and instead of saying, well, there's a big problem and there's depression and anxiety and kids are troubled and there's a mental health crisis and there's nothing we can do and we just have to wait around and let the government pass more policies. Half of these problems they've created through policies, and now they're going to be the ones to fix it. I think instead of taking an approach of just saying, well, let's see what happens, we as Christians have to come up with a plan, and we have to do things for the kingdom of Christ. And we have to show people that there's a lot that's possible with a little bit. This congregation, generally speaking, doesn't have a lot to work with. We're a small congregation compared to bigger churches. We don't have a massive budget. We don't have tons of volunteers. We just don't have a whole ton. But this past week, I was really inspired once again by the work of this congregation. And much like Ryan Trahan, I'm continually blown away at the generosity of people and what can be accomplished really quickly through the generosity of people. This week in the mail, we got this book from Healing Hands International. It was mailed to us, actually 2 copies. One is for Mary Ann Riggs. And it's a book about the well that you guys helped us raise money for. That's a picture of the well in Zimbabwe. It was drilled just a few months ago. And so they always do an update. This is well number 2, by the way. Each well, $7,500. The year before, for the first well, we raised all $7,500, and we did it within about 30 days. Well number 2, which is this well, we raised the money for last year. We raised half of that amount, and we did it even quicker. I think it was like within 15 days or something. It was pretty quick. We raised full support for the well. This well was built, it was put in memory of Bill Riggs. And so this book talks about the well that's in memory of Bill Riggs. This year, we have plans to raise money for a 3rd well. Each year, we're going to drill a well. We're not going to maybe drill a well. We're going to drill a well. So I want to read this paragraph because I was really inspired by this, and I thought it was really cool. It says, at Healing Hands International, we often say it all begins with water. Thanks to your support, more than 400 souls in Zimbabwe have access to clean water. This well will allow men, women, and children the opportunity to experience both clean drinking water and the living water of Christ. They do Bible studies with people. Healing Hands International, their mission is not just to drill well water, but to drill wells and to provide living water through Bible studies. And so that's really important to them. They always do that when they drill a well. They coordinate with local Christians, and they ensure that people are getting the Word of God in addition to these wells with clean water. So it says, may this book serve as a testament to the many victories your generosity has made possible across the world. And may this well serve as a testament to the life of Bill. Thank you, Riggs family. And then it says 400 plus lives impacted. And then it gives GPS coordinates for the well. You can look at it online. Go to satellite view. You can zoom in and you can see it from outer space. I'm going to leave this book on the back so you guys can go through it, and we'll leave it here for a couple weeks so everybody has a chance to look at it. But 400 lives from this well. We did another well that got drilled last year. That's another 400 lives impacted, plus the Bible studies and the people who are coming to Christ, plus the families that are able to be families because they're not going out trying to find water. This means that mom and dad are in the home with their kids, and their kids are going to school instead of going out trying to find water. These lives are genuinely being impacted, and that's because of you guys. Thousands of lives have already been impacted, and we're going to continue to impact thousands more. We can do this. We get one chance. We get one shot. Let's not blow it. If there's anybody this morning who's not yet taken that step to put Christ on a baptism, or anybody who has any prayer needs, we would encourage you to come up. We're all going to stand and sing this song together.